welcome back with your host, two incredibly anxious women approaching 40, here to claim our audacity by being the ultimate sayers of truth and judging your social behavior.
Come and be judged.
Judged. And I do have a truth bomb of what I discovered. I felt brilliant this morning.
Tell us.
People, you can group them into three: wolves, sheep, and truth tellers. I mean, that's it.
Say more.
You're either a wolf or a sheep or the truth teller, like telling it how it is. Sometimes the wolves will act like little sheep. Sometimes the sheep will like attack the truth tellers because they're just like don't
Paper,
know
rock,
what's
scissors
happening to them
situation.
by the wolves. They just accept the abuse and they're like, don't make me face this. But that, I mean, but it's not already clear. You and I.
Of course, obviously.
Wolves.
We are.
No. Truth teller. Truth teller.
At least you didn't say sheep.
Wow. Yeah. And that was my first instinct to go to wolves too. That's good. That's good.
That is good. I think so,
I'm
right?
growing. I'm growing. Yes.
I love it.
Okay. My pick this week
Yes.
is kind of short, but I love it because it builds on this theme that I've been thinking about personally lately, like someone being pressured to lie. And that's obviously wrong. And if you point that out, you are the bad person. So,
Oh, interesting.
again, wolves, sheep, truth tellers. But, all right. So let's see. Am I the asshole for not wanting to lie? Names have been removed to protect the innocent. I love that. This sounds like a dun dun dun.
Yeah, totally.
I work for a company. We have a group of auditors come in once to twice a year to make sure we do what we say we do. We then get a special certification for it. Well, the audit is coming up and we are getting ready for it. Now, my lead supervisor and manager all came up to me yesterday and asked me a few questions. Ambush? Now I have been through the audit since I have been with the company for over 10 years. Okay, important.
Okay.
So I
Yes.
answered the questions honestly and quickly, giving them only the information they asked for. He asked one more question and my supervisor jumped in and answered it. It wasn't right. So I tried to nicely correct it while maintaining respect. Then they walked away and chatted for a few minutes. My supervisor then came back to me and said, if the auditor asked this, we want you to say this. I say, but that is a lie. Supervisor says, yes, but it's just easier that way, so we won't ask any questions. I say, was there something wrong with what I said? Supervisor, no, but this is just easier. Well, today I told my lead that I felt uncomfortable about lying to the auditor and it didn't feel right. And if we have to lie to pass, then we don't deserve this certification. He then acted like I was out of line and it's not really lying, only stretching the truth. I said, okay, whatever, and got back to work. So am I the asshole? Yes.
I want to know more information.
Okay. Great. I am so glad you said that. And I should have first because I wanted immediate reactions. More.
Well, okay, my immediate reaction is I wouldn't want to be potentially on the line for a lie that a supervisor told me that I had to tell. Like, if it came out that a lie had been told and I got wrapped up in that because my supervisor told, that's not.
It's your name. It's
Yeah,
not your name.
exactly. And so of course, immediately I would, if it were me, I would have said the same thing. I would have been like, I don't feel comfortable doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not why you said more information. What was your gut instinct telling you when you
Okay.
wanted
Well,
more information?
wanted more information is I'm like, what is this audit about? Like, who's doing the audit? What are the rules surrounding this audit? What is this industry?
Is
Because
it bureaucracy?
right. Well, and I just don't like, and I typically, I guess, will come down against the side of a company. So probably would say not the asshole anyway. But I am trying to be a little more discerning about like what rules I'm feeling like need to be followed and why. And like, you know,
Questioner mentality.
right. Like, okay,
Love
just
it.
because there's like some rules, like what are the rules? Like just because the
Right.
rules mean that they're like good or reasonable, but then why, so why are they in place? Like, is this like, the FDA trying to figure out whether or not this food services, you know what I mean? Like it could
Right.
be. So I just don't know. But
The lie could be worth it.
yeah, even though I don't think probably not, because again, I'm gonna come down on the side against like a
Right.
corporation.
Yeah, like they're probably trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, right. They're probably trying to get some fucking, I don't know, some financial,
Right.
uh,
Cut some corner.
yeah, exactly. So, but what was your initial gut reaction?
Okay. My initial reaction was like a lot of the commenters need more info
Yeah.
because I think my like conditioning over a lifetime of, well, was it that bad? What was it? The same, like, what
Yeah.
was it just a stupid rule? You
Right.
know, like maybe she just doesn't understand.
Right.
And then I slowed down and took a beat and was like, all right, let me think back to the details. First, she's been there for 10 years.
Right. 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 That's a long time.
Kind of like full stop there for me because, well, but they've trusted her that long.
Yeah.
She knows the company, like there's been a good relationship there. So
Right.
she is not a newer employee that would just just not know the process and like not know that she should just go along with it. Like she
Mhm.
knows this is her business. This is like she knows the answer was not correct. I trust her on that. I think, and then secondly, let's say it is trivial and it
Mhm.
doesn't matter. That's her name on the lie, not
Yeah. Right. Right.
that's her on the line. That's
Right.
not a person of power. Like that's not what you
Right.
know. It's a person of power.
Right.
Not setting a good example. Also, it's conditioning her. If she
Mhm.
says, okay, I'll do it. I'll lie.
Right.
Whatever. It's small. It's trivial. They go, all right.
Yeah.
Next
Expect.
time,
Yeah. Right. That's a good.
line's a little bit bigger,
Right.
and then they've kind of conditioned her to just go along with it. So, this is like scary. I'm sure this is like really sad for her. She's been with this
Yeah.
company for 10 years. Maybe there's some new management going on or like
Mhm.
something, but I think her gut instinct is right. And I think she
Yeah.
would unequivocally not the asshole.
I totally agree. And also, like, this is maybe putting it in a more sort of focus for me is like, if I was in that, I would be like, look, if you want to tell a lie about something, like, I'm not going to go out of my way to like rat you out unless
Yes,
it was
sure.
like, right. Unless it was a lie that was going to like harm people. Like, if it
Right.
were a lie that was going to harm people, I would like to think that I would be like, no, you can't do that. But if it's like, look, if you want to fudge your part of this audit, whatever. That's not my business.
Put your name on
Like,
it.
this part is my business and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna. Yeah. So I think there, yeah, I agree with you. I think unequivocally cancel. And your bosses shouldn't, I mean, I don't know, that's like kind of fucked.
They shouldn't do that to you. And they are strong in numbers
Right.
because she already mentioned like what the supervisor, the manager,
Like
like
it's an ambush.
3 people. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure they're not all men, but they sounded like it,
Definitely.
But that, like, I think she needs to trust her instincts.
I
But
agree.
this leads me to the real kind of theme that I've been thinking about in the Karen Reed case. And this is how
Oh,
I can update you at the same
yes.
time. Because I'm someone that I love patterns. I see patterns that other people don't. I'm finally accepting that, like, it's real and to trust myself. And but,
Absolutely.
the looking at this from a big picture, not just the details, because I go crazy on the details on, how innocent she is and whatever. But this is a thing that, and I wrote this article. I posted it
Ooh.
this morning, so this is hot off the press, and it's much shorter than my others. Don't worry. All right, the thing people are missing about the
Should,
Karen Reid case.
you should hyperlink it in our
I will on Medium, and then I did do it on Twitter. Excuse me for saying that. All right, health systems protect themselves by destroying those who refuse to play along. The Karen Reid case is not just about one woman, one tragic night, or one small town. It's about human psychology, the kind most people do not even realize they are acting out. Karen Reid has been dehumanized. She has been quietly, almost instinctively cast as a threat, and for that, she must be destroyed. It is subtle. No, I do not believe there is some grand conspiracy or secret meetings around a fire. Most of the people involved probably do not even fully understand what they are doing. They are simply playing their role inside a system they do not dare question. Karen was supposed to play her role too. She was supposed to accept the blame, fade away, and protect the system from scrutiny. She was an outsider, an easy target, someone who would not be defended, which made her the perfect scapegoat. She is the perfect target for a cover up. A woman, loud, messy, drunk, emotionally reactive, someone a jury might find unlikable. Those clips, which in a case this circumstantial matters more than it should. When I first glanced at the headlines, my gut reaction was the reaction the system counts on. Trust the process, trust the system. It is comforting to believe the justice happens automatically. It lets us go back to our lives without questioning anything deeper. But for those willing to look harder and more objectively, it becomes clear that something is very wrong here. Even without knowing every detail, you can recognize the smell of a cover-up when you see it. Because once you study the human dynamics surrounding this case, a familiar pattern emerges. Protect the system at all costs. Destroy anyone who threatens it. And it is not just the police or the town insiders. When judges prioritize protecting the institutions over exposing its failures, they become part of the system's survival instincts. They preserve the illusion of fairness even as real justice slips away. In small towns with deep law enforcement ties, this is not shocking. This is not a shocking outcome. It is almost predictable. Small towns and deep law enforcement ties create a high potential for image preservation at all costs. The blue wall of silence is a known phenomenon where police protect their own, often without explicit order, simply out of systematic loyalty. So how could so many people go along with it? It is more human and more tragic than you might think. It does not require a master plan. It requires a shared instinct. Protect what we have built. Maintain the image. And if one outsider's life must be destroyed to preserve that image, so be it. The more Karen Reid fought, the deeper the system dug in. They could not call it lying. They had to call it what happened. Because to survive something like this, people must justify it in their own minds as truth. In dysfunctional systems, scapegoats are always portrayed as unstable to discredit their credibility. Karen Reid's true crime was not what happened that night. Her true crime was refusing to collapse into the role they assigned her. It mirrors the dynamics of abusive family systems. The powerful close ranks, the vulnerable are blamed, and the truth is buried to protect the image of the family. Because once a system is broken, it does not matter whether the individual targeted is guilty or innocent. They can never get a fair trial. That is the truth people are missing. It is not just about one woman. It is about how institutions, families, towns, and courts destroy those who refuse to play along.
Wow, that's great.
Do you understand the case?
Yeah, I do. I think so.
That doesn't answer all your questions.
Yes, I love that. That was very good. How is the trial? Do you think she's gonna get
I think I'm so depressed about it because of of opinions, like, of what the media has done. Like, how your opinion of it. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like you're absolutely sold on it because the headlines miss through the lines
Yeah,
because it's easier to trust these people.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
the paramedics, and why would a prosecutor do this? And why would a
Right,
judge do this? And why would they all keep saying that? And why would the media not report the truth?
right.
Because it's just easier not to. So it's only on corners of the internet, I guess. And the people protesting outside the court.
Like, it's so interesting because everything I feel like you're describing that you described really well in your article that you wrote, I'm sure, like, Black people in the United States who have been impacted by the criminal legal system would be like, "Yeah, duh." You know, like, this is
Oh, you're right.
like, this is, like, the
Shameful.
only way that we've ever experienced this system has been, like, super unfair. Back in
I'm
and
so
back
humbled.
back in, like, Jim Crow in the South, I mean, people would literally do nothing wrong at all,
Yeah.
and they would get just, like, actually, like, this is violent language, but, like, lynched for nothing, you know what I mean?
And
So
I've had people got excited to lie about it.
oh, yeah, people felt like they were doing, like, the right but and what were they doing in that lie? They were protecting their system of white supremacy,
Right.
so it's like but it's just so interesting because I'm sure that that's, like, you know and, like, what about right now, like, with these, um with these immigrants to the United States being just, like, disappeared off the street without due process, you know what I mean? Like, shit's crazy.
I guess at least she's getting a corrupt trial.
Well, but I mean, that's still, like, her trial being corrupt is just as bad if it's gonna send her to prison, for however long.
Yeah, because then it can look justified. But these, oh my God. Yeah, this is another. I am very humbled right now thinking what this got me riled up because it happened to her.
Well,
Yeah,
they
when there's
can't
injustices everywhere like this, like I'm here thinking like, I can't believe this is happening today to a
Right.
woman
Mhm,
and no one can do anything about it, but
mhm.
not realizing it's also happening to so many others, um, that do not get this publicity.
Well, and I don't even call it the criminal justice system anymore because that is, like, assuming that there is justice.
I love
I
that.
call it the criminal legal system because it's often
I
justice has
love that.
to do with unfortunately.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Um, it depresses me
Yeah.
because realizing that you can't like, how do you convince I don't know. How do you convince people of the truth that when there's so many people willing to say the opposite that look
Yeah.
credible? I don't know. Give up. No, no, keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Well, and I think too, I've talked to some people who are like, "Oh, come on, she totally did." Like the most rational like explanation, and I understand that.
Why she did it
No, 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 just like the most rational explanation for what happened. They're like, "What if you hear
is
hooves,
that she did it.
yes, like if you
Yes.
hear hooves, don't think of a zebra, think of a horse." Like, but the issue with that is
That's
that's
exactly what they
not
thought when they were framing her.
but that's not the criminal legal standard.
True, and that's
Like,
what is surprising. That's why I really wanted to, like, talk to you about it and
yeah,
am interested to hear lawyers when the thing that surprises me the most is lawyers that think she should be found guilty.
well, because my thing is this: if that what we just that standard that I just kind of put out of this is the most reasonable thing that could have happened. That is the standard. That's basically the standard in a civil case. So that's like by a preponderance of the evidence. If it's 50% plus one, more likely that this thing happened, then this thing happened, then this is what you have to. happened.
Even
So
without the evidence in between? Like,
if based on the evidence, you have to say, okay, did this, which is more likely? And that's all you have to decide. If it's more likely this or more likely that, right? But in a criminal case, and it has to be beyond all of
such a
these.
high bar.
It's a very high bar, and I think that that's something that because people can theorize about what happened, like, talking about it like this, but in an actual court of law, when it's gonna be somebody's corporeal freedom is on the line, it's a very, very high standard for a reason. So a person on a jury could and should, in this situation, respond like this, not this situation, but the situation I'm gonna describe. If I'm, like, sitting on the jury and I'm like, "Man, I really think she did it. I just don't get I'm feeling like she did it." But have they shown that she did it beyond a reasonable doubt?
Right.
No. I think she did it, but I still have to find her not guilty. Like, that's hard for a juror to do that has no legal training, right? Like,
That's crazy to expect.
yeah. That's
Unless
why
they go through like training prior, like here we're going to
right.
teach you the law in this
It's
preamble way.
crazy to me that we talked about this before, but, like, as an attorney, like, juries are like, it's crazy, and you very
Nothing else matters.
no,
No,
and you have
nothing we
no, nothing
say
else, no.
except the random personality makeup of these 12,
That's right.
however many people.
Think about the things that you can hide about
How many are
yourself.
wolves, sheep, or truth tellers?
Exactly. But think about the lies you could tell about yourself as part of the jury selection to hide things that, like, would be very relevant to how you're gonna so, for example,
So easy.
say there's a guy on there, there's, like, an Andrew Tate guy on the jury, right? Let's just say that there's, like, some guy who all he does on YouTube is watches alpha male videos,
And
and
why would they ask about that?
well, and a good lawyer would find a way to feel that out,
Yeah.
like, would think about, like, okay, what is really gonna matter in this case is whether or not they like my client. And so she is a certain type of woman that certain type of men really fucking hate. So how can
Yep. And that women hate.
and that certain type of women hate too, yeah.
I don't think and I don't mean this offensively,
Yeah.
I don't think we would be friends by
No,
any means. I don't
no.
think we had but that doesn't, I don't care. Like,
Yeah, that's I mean, I think she should go to fucking prison.
I think that, I think that means they were like so excited. Like, yes, we have the best scapegoat. Like, it looks reasonable.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
what do you say about the fact that there has been, so that's what caught me with this case, like got me into it, was wait, there has to be something going on because there is so much reasonable doubt here. The stuff we're talking about, criminal law, there's no way that a prosecutor should have taken this case.
Well, and I'll tell you, this is what I think about
Oh.
this is what I think about that. Let's say for a second, let's just assume that there wasn't a cover up. Let's
Okay.
assume that there's not a cover up. Because if there's a cover up, then we understand why they're taking it and they're going against her because they're trying to cover something else up, right?
Right.
So if there's no cover up, it's a dead police officer. Dead police officers always get prosecuted. They always are going to get prosecuted. They're never not going to get prosecuted.
Sure.
And, that's a little bit because plenty of other people don't get that same type of, like, attention from, but whatever. It's always going to be
Talk
prosecuted.
about qualified immunity.
Yeah, right, right. Qualified immunity is so, but that's something we should talk about sometime because
Yes.
that's actually would be an interesting concept or an interesting topic for conversation. But they're always going to prosecute a dead cop, a murder cop. They're always
That would look even more suspicious if they did.
if they
right?
did. That's right. That's right. And they cannot
You need a
show that
scapegoat.
they don't have, like, because if it's not her, then who did it? How did it happen? They have nothing. So they have to go after
Right.
her. That's the most likely scenario in their mind. And they have to move forward with someone. So
Yeah.
even if the evidence isn't good, they're like, this is the person that we have. We don't have anything else. And we have to do something, or we look incompetent and we look
Right.
on the murder of a cop. And so it's all about image. It's all about
So cover up or not, they would have acted the same.
I
Yeah.
think so, absolutely.
What do
Absolutely.
you think
Just with
about them
politics.
bringing in the special prosecutor?
I think that's an indication that something went haywire because they don't do that. They don't do that. And people are always like part of a criminal defense case is always going to be trying to pick apart an investigation. Always. So you're always going to hear allegations about, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But if the
That's what sucks about this case. It's like all the stereotypical things are actually true. Like,
well, I mean, the fact that the FBI is investigating the investigation is, I think, says a lot.
right. But we don't have any details of that, but it
Are
should.
they going to let evidence of that into her trial?
They have, yes. So
They
they
have.
gave them 3,000 pages of information from their investigation.
The
That
jury? The jury?
no, not the jury, the lawyers. So the both sides. When they brought this case, Karen and Reed's lawyers went to the FBI and filed a complaint, basically like, can you look into this? And I originally thought it was authentic. They just like started the investigation, but I think they did through the proper channels. So they started investigating, and then I think they came to the conclusion that she was without a doubt absolutely innocent. So instead of like blowing the lid off and making her, having a presser and saying,
Right.
blah, 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 they provided 3,000 pages of their investigation that I think they were like, this should be enough to shut this up. And that included all of, I think that was Jennifer McCabe's text message. And I know you said that was one thing you didn't believe, you believe it could have happened the next day, all of that. Even if that were true, they have just lied about it. All. They just
Yeah.
lie. Why are you all lying?
Yeah. And I mean, that's a big part of what the jury is like there to determine. And they're able to consider is the credibility of witnesses. So like they're given a jury instruction that's essentially like if you don't find a witness credible, you are allowed to disregard anything that they've said. Like you don't have to assume that the facts. So I mean, credibility of witnesses is huge.
Yeah, but I just wonder, I guess I'm just pessimistic now, but I watch it and the first two witnesses, to me, I thought their credibility was absolutely destroyed by Mr.
You?
King Jackson. And he tore them apart, and they look like lawyers or liars. But to the jury who knows nothing, first, do we trust a jury that doesn't know about
I
this
mean,
game? But anyways,
that's the thing is like, but the good thing with jurors is that all you have to do is like keep getting you don't have to convince everybody that you're innocent. You just have to keep convincing, like, you know what I mean?
do you know about one of the most recent jaw-dropping reports of the past jury's foreman
No.
was a past police officer
They
that,
didn't tell you?
well, they
He didn't
did.
tell them?
He was the
Honey.
one that wrote the letters. He was the one that told them that they couldn't come back with a not guilty on the top charge, but they had to be unanimous on all three. That's why they've appealed up, because she should not still have three charges
What?
against her. I mean, there is so much foul play in this that I think it gets lost in everything else, because we start to sound ridiculous because it's, witness tampering. And there is a woman by the name of Krusty Panties. Well, that's what she's known by. That has been allegedly, in an affidavit just dropped, paid $1,500 a month by the DA to do like recon and like destroy these people out here that are, in support of the Free Karen Reed movement. And
Really?
Jennifer McCabe is said to have given her a sectional couch. I mean, there is too much to even.
That is wild. I just think like, even let's just say even that she did do it. Let's just say that she did do it.
Okay.
I haven't
Physics aren't real
based
so we're
on
in that world.
Yeah, let's just for a minute
Okay.
say that she absolutely did it. Let's assume she did it.
Okay.
I still, from what I know about the evidence and the trial, don't think that they proved it beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right. Okay. That is a great point. And I think that's what I'm trying to say.
That's what matters. That's
just
what matters.
by the law.
Yeah, and you have to prove it by you can't.
Even if she did do it.
Yes, because that's part of our system is that
Right.
it's not your responsibility to prove that you didn't do something. It's their responsibility to prove that you did.
And that's exactly what got me attracted to this is looking that why aren't other people seeing this? I didn't know yet. I hadn't made up my mind whether or not she was guilty or not. But I was like, these orders or the rulings that the judge is making in the pretrial hearings, like nothing seemed fair. It all seemed rigged. And I just thought the case should have been dismissed. Anyway, so that's what made me look further to the actuality of her guilt. And then I was like, oh, physics are real. And it's just really hard to accept that like someone would actually plant to provide evidence.
Right.
And that was hard for me to get over too. But I think it's if you believe one thing, you have to believe the other, that sort of thing. Like you have to believe that happened. But it will be such a beautiful day when it all comes to light.
So you think she's going to be acquitted?
I have no faith because I think there's corruption. Like I don't have any faith that there's not, and this is going to sound crazy, but that there's not like a plant in the jury.
Have you seen
Runaway? I sound like a freaking Trump supporter, like a QAnon. And that's what this makes you, the truth teller. They just make you sound so just not credible. But and the judge's rulings, she's making it so hard to put up a defense.
Yeah.
Limiting their third-party culprit defense. So is between the judge and between whatever crazy is going on behind the scenes, I don't think they'll ever be able to convict her, but I think it might be hung again for sure. Even if they say the freaking sky is green, like every witness said that, and I don't know.
Well, the real thing then will be to see whether they try her again.
They will. They'll try her again and again and again.
I mean, but at some point it becomes a waste of resources, right? Like, because it's very expensive.
Federal government step in that has those.
They don't have any. I don't think they have any place to step in.
They do because he's a police officer. That's one of the stipulations of that. And that's why. So this is completely opinionated, but when they got involved, my theory is that they were investigating this and they saw stuff about Sandra Birchmore and those same police officers,
Who's Sandra Birchmore?
23-year-old pregnant woman who was groomed and as aid by police. Well,
my God.
Grace police officer Matthew Farwell out of the neighboring town.
Wow, that's horrible.
And so he did that when she started in the police academies when she was like 13. He started that with her, then got her pregnant. and then
This.
ended her life.
Oh my
Day
God.
before his third child was
What?
born with his wife, and he staged it as though she had done it to herself.
Oh my
Gonna
God.
get stricken from that YouTube. And this system we speak of, which happens to be the same system that is persecuting, yes, I say it, Karen Reed, investigators.
That's
And they
crazy.
covered it up and it was ruled that way until who's that famous guy that does autopsies? Bowden, maybe.
I didn't know there was a famous guy that did.
Yeah, I don't know how random facts I know, but apparently not well enough. But he came back and said, no, I think something in her fear was broken, indicating she like did that to herself. There's no way. They proved it. And the FBI came in and had Matthew Farwell on his knees in handcuffs. And now he is going to be federally prosecuted, I believe.
Damn.
Yeah. And he had a twin brother doing the same thing to her. And it was like a whole group of these guys. Another guy, Robert.
Honestly, ACAB.
Right? I mean, it's hard because they just have this system that protects themselves. So why wouldn't you do anything bad? You know, if you're going to get away with it, the opportunity is there. It's almost like they're asking for it. But I think that the FBI maybe started with the Karen Reed because of the inquiry and was like, wait, this Sandra Birchmore thing seems off. And they got sidetracked and then arrested him. That's probably not how that works. But I don't know. Hopefully, maybe that one was just more clear cut. I don't know why they can't, because they know all, right? Like, there's easy ways. The phone data, like where his phone was, where everyone's phone was. What is that? The geofencing.
Is it precise enough to show? Because he wasn't very far from the inside of the house, right? So, like, why didn't the defense try to get that information? Like, subpoena that information?
They did.
And
Michael disgraced, fired prior trooper Michael Proctor, who's the lead investigator in the Karen Reed case. He's been fired for his actions on this case. He requested the geofencing data, but he only requested it for Google phones when no one had a Google account. It was all Apple. And oops. And now too late. I mean, once you taint all the ways to prove, one way or the other, then you get that maybe she did it because we can't prove otherwise.
I mean, a lot of the behaviors are very suspicious. That one guy destroying the SIM card.
It's funny what people think are like sketchy and what other, I don't know. I just like that. I guess that was sketchy. I don't know. Everything is sketchy to me, but some more than others. So in your mind, like, how do you go back to, well, maybe she could do it if like a piece of evidence convinces you, and maybe like, how does a jury do this when there's so many pieces of evidence in this case? Do you add them all up to a number?
No, I don't know. I've never been in a jury room. I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah, I get it.
But I mean, because I don't think that there's like only one way, you know what I mean, to
the thing I struggled with was the planting of the evidence. I was like, who could have done that? Who would have really done that? I don't think Michael Proctor would have done that that early, maybe. But then I think, and this might be too in the weeds, but I think it was Kevin Albert who is the brother of
Mm.
Brian that lives there, who is a police officer that has full access to the Sally Port at the police station
Mm.
and was in there and could very easily taken taillight and gone to his brother's house and just dropped it.
Mhm.
That makes sense to me. But that was the only hard thing for me to get over is I guess human beings being that terrible to do that. Like that's like conscious destruction of someone's life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's when it would make sense, especially if it's like it's either her or them. You know, you don't necessarily want to, you're not looking to necessarily destroy someone from the beginning, but it's like,
Right.
I
And
have to
yes.
choose between me or her. I'm picking her.
I
Not
think
to
that's
choose it,
probably
but I
the
think,
exact
yeah,
conversation that happened, like between very few people. But
right.
like at that moment, they probably looked one another in the eye and was like, Brian, Jen, Matt, whoever, it's either her or us.
Yeah.
Sacrifice. They were probably like, she'd be happy to sacrifice for us.
Yeah, right. They're like, we hate that bitch anyway.
God. And then I think other people just really didn't like her. So it's like, how sad is that? I mean, you got to be careful if you were a dislikable person, right?
Hanging out with cops. Don't hang out with cops. That's really the moral of the story.
That can just, you know,
Maybe a cab.
did you know about the story at a I think it's Cummings, Georgia, or right there. It was in 2018. I hadn't thought about it in a while, but it was a black mother of 5 that went over on a sleepover with these white women, and she was found just
Yeah.
out of the deck. And like all the evidence was just not consistent with her falling. She had way more bruising and they just covered it up.
So did that beat to death?
See, then I don't know. I shouldn't speak on it too much. I don't know all the details, but
Crazy. Like what happened? I like what in the fuck happened there? You
so
know?
here's what could have, this is the similarities in both cases. This is what could have happened in both cases. No maliciousness. None. And I think that would help justify lying. So let's say John walks into the house, slips down the stairs, and cracks his head and is completely done.
Yeah.
And let's say this woman, um, was drunk. I mean, she did have THC, Xanax, and alcohol in her system, but like maybe she fell and they were like, it'll look better if she falls off the balcony. I don't know. But like they didn't do anything. And then so they don't really feel like they're totally lying.
Right. Well, they feel like they're lying, but it's not. It was just an accident. So
Right.
none of them should be in trouble anyway. Maybe. But also, I don't.
What?
Well, because I do think it would just be so much better. Because if Karen did not kill him, I think that it was an accident. What happened?
Yes. And that's why it's easier to
And
cover
also,
up.
maybe if she did kill him, it could have been an accident too. Do you know what I mean? I think that's part of what they haven't proven that people are not getting is that I
Intent.
definitely have not
Yes.
seen any proof of intent. You have her phone calls after the fact being like, I'm so mad at you, da, da, da. And unless she was like some super psycho sociopath
Right.
that was like, okay, I gotta lock in. And she was wasted. So I have a hard time believing that she would like be able to be like, okay, what do I need to do? Like
Most psychopaths would go, hey, baby, hope you got in well. Can't see you when you get home. That's what a psychopath would do. Just a masterful psychopath, I guess, would do the opposite. And like,
yeah, but like what would not happen is calling
what she
and
did.
saying, fuck you, like.
Right.
You know,
Like, she would have to bank that, like,
he was in that house and wasn't coming out, and that's why she was pissed and she left and she thought he was in the house. I mean, that makes sense to me.
yeah. So what doesn't make sense to me is what she thought. This is so in the nitty gritty, but like what she thought was supposed to happen. Like he was just supposed to call her and
Karen,
say, I'm inside. Like, why was she waiting
why
for
didn't she just go inside the house?
And yeah, was she actually
Why didn't she
going
just
to?
actually, that's a good why didn't she just park and go in?
Well, I think the first intention was he was always going to go in alone. And I think she said, like, check it out.
Well, like,
So,
to see if they were really having people over?
yeah. And if it was cool for her to come in, which I kind of understand, I can see myself doing that.
Yeah, I guess
Like,
I can see myself.
go see what I don't feel like doing the whole intro thing if it's
Yeah, right,
weird and not comfortable.
right.
But
Yeah, and
that
also I
really
gotta remember,
makes sense. Then he just never answers or calls her again. And she's like, all right, I guess I'll leave.
oh,
That makes sense why she stayed that long because she stayed
yeah.
there. And then she was pissed off. I just talked myself into it more. I answer my own little question there. Okay, but what do you think about the prosecution's theory that is insane and implausible about her backing up like 62 feet at 24 miles per hour in a snowstorm at night?
But
That's physically impossible.
there isn't some of his wasn't some of his DNA found on, but I mean, I guess it was his car. He, like, drove the car.
He could have wiped off some snow from the
Mm, mm, mm.
back
I mean,
there.
what kind of DNA is it, right? Like, a hair. Oh, he had that one random hair. It's like, I saw that.
That
And
survived. But now I mean, I will, talk about any piece of evidence they found, but I can't trust it fully because
the other thing, though, for I think one of the things I was like, "Okay, they haven't proven this," is his injuries were not consistent with being
start there. That's where we should start.
I mean, of
That's
course, that one person, she was like, and I saw her testimony on the stand, and she was
Dr. Renee. No,
yeah,
yeah,
right?
the dog bite expert.
No, no, not the dog bite expert. I was talking about the coroner. Who
Oh,
ac
yes.
because she didn't have
Yeah.
any skin in the game. In fact,
Nope.
she opposite. She's part of, like, technically, she's supposed to be independent, but, like, she's part of the apparatus that the state has, the county has.
That should go along with it.
And I found her to be very credible because she was like, "No, it's I've seen people get hit by cars, and this is not what they look like when they get hit by a car." And I'm
Right.
like, "Well, okay, sorry guys, you have to."
But even I mean, I even look at it and I don't know that, but I can see it from my layman eyes. But then there's a degree of like the experts that see it too. I think that should have been enough. But that's what the ARCA evidence, the ARCA experts who came out of that 3,000 pages of evidence from the FBI, in that was like, this is not physically possible that a car hit John O'Keefe or that her car or whatever. They proved it from two angles, the two doctors. But the prosecution is fighting so hard to keep them out, which is so obvious. But they are from the FBI, but they're not allowed to say, or they're not from the FBI. They were hired by the FBI. But they're not allowed to talk about that. So they just think the last jury just thought they were some like insurance adjusters.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Instead of like the
Wow.
real deal. And they didn't have any skin in the game either. But I think all that physics, like I see it going over my head. It definitely
Yeah.
did. I was just like, I trust that.
Yeah, right.
So it probably did the same for them. But I mean, it's crazy. I don't know. There's so many angles. I hate people.
Well, and one of the things about the like cases in the real world is that we're never going to actually really know what happened. You know what I mean? We're never going to know exactly what happened. It's never going to come.
People say that.
Well, because like there's no like trials, like criminal trials in the real world. It's not like something in a movie where at the end of the trial, you know what happened. Like that's not usually how it works. Somebody is either a jury decides that they're innocent or guilty, or
Right, right.
guilty, but we don't actually really ever know for certain what happened. Do you know what I mean? The only
I'm
person
trying to think. Yeah.
what happened to John O'Keefe is John O'Keefe and whoever killed him. And we don't know as outsiders, we can't really know who that is ever.
But I maybe this is what I'm optimistic about. I think it's going to eventually come out. I
I mean,
mean,
it might, if there's a cover up, proof of that might eventually come out, but we'll still never know because even
if even that is true, is that what you're saying?
no. Even if that came out, like we'll never actually know what happened that night. That will never be something that we know.
I'm saying, like, what if somebody in the house has a breakdown or tells the wrong person? I mean, since I started following this, so many things have been leaked that I
Yeah,
never thought would have been found out.
right.
So
Yeah, I mean,
why not? Why wouldn't that keep going
I
until
mean, I guess if somebody for some reason like if somebody would felt so guilty on their conscience or something, but I just can't see
he's
someone
doing that now?
speaking out about something that would get them like in that amount of trouble. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe it will, but I kind of doubt it.
There's got to be a little sheep looking for fame out there, or a little truth teller that was already
But
being
where have they
suppressed.
been this time?
I think that they've been under the spell, but it's just a matter of time before something clicks, like something they meet a new person that, or they finally see the truth. I don't know what the catalyst will be, but maybe somebody will find dirt on them. I mean, it could be evil, but it could be like done, in a kind of blackmail way or like, but I don't know. I just think something will surface.
We'll have to see. I mean, I'd be very interested. The other piece is that if you can even believe what surfaces, you know what I mean? So it's like there's a question of like
That's what is
knowing
so depressing.
about like knowing something, like really knowing it. Like I
Yeah.
guess one thing I will say an exception to the rule I was talking about. So because like for example, with the Murdaugh, we'll never know what happened to the Murdaugh.
That is a great example. Yeah.
We'll never know.
I have my what I can sleep at night with a but at the end of the day, opinion.
Yeah,
What?
that's right. Well, and we'll never know. I don't think.
Because he's not the type of person, he
He's not
doesn't
gonna
have personality. No, he will go to his grave.
Yeah.
Because yeah,
He will
that
go to the grave.
no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. We'll never know what happened. We will never know. But
But there's not more evidence to be discovered, I guess.
well,
Like,
they're not looking for it.
right, right.
Like they're not
Nobody has incentive
no.
to, yeah.
No.
Okay, so
But but the exception to that is like like one of these serial killers that is like
the DNA.
well, eventually, so if you have DNA, you still don't really know what happened.
That's
No.
where, yeah.
But like what I think, because what I mean when I say know what happened is like actually know like what took place,
Who
not
said
like
what to who?
yeah, right.
Then what
Like you have
happened?
like these like if you have somebody with a big ego, like you or whatever, or somebody that
Right.
wants,
That's their
they'll just
story.
they'll just tell you anything. Like we know with like excruciating detail what happened with Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Like we know more than we want to know about that, right? He's the one who killed.
Do we
I mean,
know that? He?
yeah,
Oh, true. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, right?
I
After
yeah.
he was convicted,
Well, between
did he
probably the investigation and then he filled in the holes, I'm sure.
after he was found guilty, right? There was no reason for him not
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Because that's his
Big crap.
personality thrives in that notoriety. But
Yeah. Well, 'cause,
Alex Murdoch
no.
in his image, and he will keep that as long
Yeah,
as he can.
that's right.
Absolutely. But so you're saying, like, we know Karen Reed has acquired is paying an exorbitant amount of money to keep this cutout piece of carpet from the Albert's basement in a room's temperature safe whatever room, like storage unit, to eventually get tested. I don't know why.
Who? What?
Karen Reed was able to get a hold of some of the old carpet that was in the Albert's basement, where they
Oh.
feel his death happened.
Oh.
And she's keeping it like temperature controlled and to one day test. But I don't know why they can't test that. But anyway, so I'm asking if they were to test that, if
Mhm.
John's blood was on that. Oh, but you're saying that still doesn't tell the story. It just
No.
keeps
We
going.
don't know what happened. We don't know if he fell
Yeah.
down. We don't know if somebody pushed him. We don't know if that dog somehow got to him and he fell and hit his head. You know, we don't know we'll never
I
know.
misunderstand. I'm thinking like, we'll know who's guilty one
Yeah.
day, but that guilty person is
They're
never
never no.
going to lay out or say what happened or probably even say that they ever did it. Ugh.
And that's like really because like for example, I really wanted to know what happened with the murder. I was like, I want to know exactly what
Well,
happened.
they did that in reenactment.
Because I'm like, and I think the thing about that is it's so unbelievable or
Yeah.
so horrible to
Yeah.
think a husband and father like doing those that is just boggles the you don't want to believe that because it's just so awful.
But I
And
think he's counting on that.
oh, for sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, I like want to but it makes me because it makes me want to understand, you know what I mean? And that makes me want to know what exactly
Absolutely.
happened, right?
I think I came to peace with it because I did understand that in his mind, this was the only way.
Yeah,
Because his son was a financial liability that
yeah,
would expose him,
right.
and same with his wife.
Well,
So
and the son had already like I think part of what everything happened with the boat was really what started unlocking like the
yes.
fraud, right? The
Yeah.
boat.
So that's a little tidbit way to justify it. Like, he's gonna have a tough life anyways. He did this terrible thing, and, you know, his wife, he's thinking she's not gonna be able to live when he's gone, and she's gonna expose me. But it was either that I think it's like a choice of someone he was thinking it of like, am I gonna go to Burger King or McDonald's? Like, or not, it's
Well, think
not,
about
but it's one thing or the other. It was either they needed to go, or his whole life would be exposed. In either which case, if this over here got worst case scenario, he'd be in prison. But if he got exposed, he'd be in prison too. He's just rolling the dice. Now, he's got both the charges, exposed
well,
and he murdered
I
him.
mean, if he were to get away with the murder though, he wouldn't have been exposed. So I think he was
Right. He was rolling that for that,
he was
for that.
yeah, right, right.
He was willing to do that to his child and his
Yeah,
wife,
yeah. Well, but
in
okay, so
the off chance he wouldn't get caught.
his child because I'm thinking about, are there any parallels or maybe contrast that could be interesting between you've watched season 3 of the White Lotus?
Yes.
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 So,
I annihilators are
yeah,
common, dude. It
that's
is so
crazy.
hard for us to comprehend.
It's hard to comprehend.
Yes, I
But
get that.
he was very much like, "Okay, they're not gonna be able to live like this," and in his mind, it was like a mercy. Like, it was
Yes.
like the right I guess we don't really know if it was because the other piece is like,
Or anger.
how narcissistic do you have to be like and part of it, I think, was, I don't want you to know what I've done. I don't want you to live with knowing, like, what I've done.
Right. The
Right.
shame.
The
I can't
shame.
face it.
I can't face you not being able to, like, how you're gonna react to me rather than, "Oh, this is a mercy." Like, maybe he was telling
That's
him,
why he justified it.
yeah, I'm telling myself it's a mercy, but what really is going on here is I can't stand the thought of your reaction to my shame.
Exactly. Yes.
So
Both
inside
things can be true.
how the Murdaugh, how because it could have been maybe he was like in his, he deluded
I
himself.
have to do this.
Yeah.
I agree. They justify it. And I think that all family annihilators have, I mean, I would say most or all have a personality disorder, one like narcissism, because you have to have that superiority complex and entitlement to take someone's life,
Right.
you know,
Yeah. I mean,
and feel justified, be able to, and have no empathy about it. And I'm thinking like Chris Watts, for sure, he was a covert narcissist, but
is he a family annihilator?
yeah, two girls and pregnant wife,
Oh wait, was this the one who
Colorado.
pushed them into the, oh my God. That I wish that I hadn't seen. That's one thing that I saw that
Yeah.
I like that docuseries. I was like, I wish that I hadn't seen, because the thought of a hit your own daughter looking at you and being like, no, please don't, after you've already done it to one, like, I
Done it.
can't, makes me like, I'm overwhelmed with just, I don't even know what the word is, it's horrible.
Because you are having to face that there's that much like just pure evil
I
in
just
the
can't
world.
imagine hurting any child,
No,
let alone a child that came from my body. You know what I
that you're
mean?
responsible for, and
That
that
is your child. And I guess that's a good point. It
you.
doesn't have to come from your body, but just like that is one that you have taken responsibility for.
Yeah. And to essentially do it like 4 times, right? Because
And yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Well, and I saw
that's the
footage
grossest part.
I saw the footage of when he confessed to his dad. And
Mhm.
it did seem like he wasn't really understanding, like, the horror of what he had done, because, imagine, I guess I really did notice this when I was listening to it, is I was thinking, like, if I had done something so horrible, I would not want my father to know those details that make it even more, right? Like, I'd be so
Oh,
ashamed that I would
yes.
not be able to share, come on, Squirt, that I would not be able to share those details, because I would never want them to know that. But it seems
No, bare minimum.
like that, like what you're saying in terms of like the personality disorder is really making sense to me, because he didn't have that thought of like, oh,
Let
I
me
can't.
spare my dad.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "Oh, yeah, she said," I mean, I was like, "Oh," like, it was so
He
horrific
was
hearing,
actually probably saying that to garner sympathy from his dad.
which because he has a warped understanding
It's
of,
a victimhood. That's like the covert part
but,
of
like,
it.
bro, that's not making you look like a victim, that's making you look like a straight monster.
But he never really took, I mean, you can tell now he's got like a whole new life in prison, you know. He's able to like go
What
on and forgive himself.
the and the whole thing was, like, he wanted a divorce, he was, like, had that affair,
Yeah. And he
but
just didn't want to deal with it and
what
have the shame of it, but instead grieving a grieving widow, but
like,
not the brain capacity to realize he would never get away with it.
right, 'cause so that's interesting. So, some, not all, like, narcissists, like you're saying, are smart,
No, no.
because that was pretty stupid. What he did was
Yeah.
fucking stupid.
Yeah. And
In addition to being horrific, and disgusting, it was stupid.
he for so long, I mean, I guess it wasn't technically that long, but to see him in those body cam videos just really trying to sell it, and then he goes on the news and tries to sell he looks guilty as sin. Like,
And all
that
the neighbors knew.
downfall of narcissists is they believe that they're so great and no
Ah,
to be able to see that I'm this lying piece of shit.
that's
And
so funny.
everyone, it was so obvious
Yeah,
how
I love, like, all the neighbors, like, you hear it in
that
the
guy,
like,
amazing.
something,
Yeah.
something is up, like, he is acting crazy. Like,
Right.
immediately. Like you're saying, it was, like, immediate. People were like,
No. Like, he got caught so fast, you know?
but it
Don't mean
is,
to laugh.
of course, but it
RIP.
is upsetting that, like, he doesn't necessarily feel that many consequences. Like, the way that we would think that he should feel the consequences of his actions. Like you said, he's able to just move on and, like, I don't care, you know? Like, sure,
Yeah.
he's in prison, but, like, I think the whole point is more like you feel like somebody should feel emotional pain and responsibility and accountability for the things that they've
They're
done.
incapable of that. No, it's devastating. Or even, I mean, this is actually a hard when narcissists or people with personality disorders, like a lot of them will never even admit it happened. Like that was surprising to me that he admitted it. Like Lori Vallow Daybell out of Arizona and Idaho, the cult mom, she was LD Latter-day Saints.
What
But
about Ruby Creek?
no, this is different. She conspired to kill her ex-husband or well, no, it was her current husband. They were going to get a divorce, and then her 2 children.
Oh, shit.
And then her new 4th husband's wife. So this has been a like 6-year crazy. I haven't actually followed it that closely because sometimes like things too cuckoo or like not interesting to me.
Yeah.
Like they actually called people, they said they were like powerful, that God talked to them. And so they were higher than everybody else, and they could label people dark spirits or zombies, and therefore they were rationalized with killing them. It's
What?
cool. So they just like, how cool is that? Oh, I'm powerful. You should die, and I will make that happen. And
Oh
like,
my
I
god.
shouldn't. So, anyways, but she's delusional. Will never admit it. You know, they usually cannot accept fault or accountability for anything. So Chris
So
Watts.
they'll just act like it didn't happen, even if all the evidence shows that
Oh,
it did.
she just represented herself at
Oh,
her second trial, and all evident yeah, it's all laid out, and it's, "Well, you just don't understand. That's not
mm.
what it meant."
Oh my god. Um,
Like, we got rid of him. What would that mean?
yeah, what would that mean? How do we not understand?
When he
Tell
just died. Um, people text, I mean, it's crazy. But a lot of these people, that is why I've realized I love following true crime and court cases because one, I love seeing justice. And well, when it happens, which is delusional, but you know, if it happens. And then I love seeing people, I think, with personality disorders being physically held accountable for their actions for once because they have to, even if they won't admit it.
right. Did you see the Ruby Frank stuff?
Yes.
Because she obviously has some kind of a something, right?
Yeah. Let's see. She actually just thinking on like the accountability front, because that's usually our like, she has, like owned up to what she did, but I,
Was that a temporary? Like, I just don't understand how she could, like,
get there.
no, how she could come back from there so easily.
Oh, to be brainwashed by the
Well, like,
Hildebrand.
what I mean is, like, she was at a place where she was shaving her daughter's head, starving both of her kids, restraining them with duct tape, pouring, like, salt stuff on their wounds to make
Like,
it
not something you could explain away.
like, to be yeah, like, "Oh, I think that there are demons inside them." And then all of a sudden, "Oh, I'm sorry, kids." Like, what happened there? That's what I don't understand.
Well,
Just because you wanted the deal, and so she's had to say what she had to say to get a certain deal from the DA? Because, like, I'm like, "How did you go from way the fuck up here to being able to take accountability and identify that?" Because I feel like that person's delusional, and they're not
she
thinking
wasn't alone, and I'm not trying to defend her, but to offer an explanation is she was very influenced by the woman she was working with, Hildebrand. And I don't know if this is true. I think they've said she was more of the influential one, like pushing the limits. And I think when you get those dynamics and maybe there is something stick inside her and she was probably stressed with children anyways, and you add all of that, and then they were starting to get famous. I think she just bought into it and probably got wrapped up in it.
Well, but
doesn't mean she shouldn't be punished, but
No,
I think she could snap out of it.
yeah, but this is the thing that the only thing that's so she was already famous before she met that woman, and then she had a fall from grace because the her she left something in a video that was like she had
Yes.
the son had to live on sleep on a beanbag for 7 months. And the people were like, "What the fuck? Like, that's abusive. Like, that's not."
Right.
So she was already that way before she even met, like, the therapist.
You're
Like,
right. You're right. You're
and
right.
she'd been famous. She had been famous before, and then she had a fall from grace, and then she really got in league with the therapist, and they started working together. And then there was, like, the daughter was saying that she thought they had an intimate relationship. So I definitely think that
Oh, that's right. That's right.
like, I definitely think that that obviously was, like, a bad situation, a bad,
A
su
catalyst for her to get worse, but maybe not
yeah.
a
But
catalyst
that's
altogether.
but then that's why I'm like, how did she just snap back after thinking that her children were filled with demons and treating them in that way, and then all of a sudden to be able
You're
to be
right.
like,
It
"Oh,
sounds like
sorry,
I
kid."
need more info. And I mean, I'm sure that prison really helped her mentally.
Right.
So you're right. Like, how did was
Why is she all
she
of a sudden like
institutionalized? Did she get any actual?
that's a good question.
Because I believe, I guess it could be possible, but you're right. For her to just, I mean, I guess I believed her. I listened to that statement in court. She sounds very rational. She
Yeah.
sounds like I would pick up on someone that's trying to make excuses, right?
Right, right.
And I don't think I sensed
Do
that.
that.
It's been a while, but it seemed genuine. And just to me, who's like loosely following it, I was like, all right, she could be redeemable.
I just don't know.
Now let's throw it
What
away.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I'm like, I wanna understand what happened
How?
between, like, her being like, "You're gonna sit in this closet by yourself. I'm not gonna feed you. You're not gonna be able to move," to, "Oh, sorry, my bad, kids. I hope you can forgive me. My actions were wrong." Like,
I wonder if it's the mentioned by proxy, like, or
mm,
like she's actually evil and was just had an opportunity to um do all of her fantasies to them, and now she's just faking.
I mean, honestly, you notice in that was a very interesting docuseries. I mean, it was heartbreaking, but, like,
I'm starting to resent docuseries.
I know, I think I can see
Do you
why
see why?
because
Because
it
they
feels
are not.
exploitive.
It's not true. It's not all true. It's just,
Yeah.
it is like watching a war movie and saying that was the actual war, or
Well, and, like, I wonder
they
how
want to
people
portray it.
like, a family member I mean, I know like, a lot of them participated in this docuseries, right? But
Sure, I
that
don't
doesn't
actually
mean no, but I'm saying
created equal.
that doesn't mean that they like the way it came out or that they had any sort of control over production or editing or
Yeah.
narrative and script or any creative control whatsoever. And
No.
so they could even have some of their what they've said edited out or changed. Like we have no idea. Like just
That's
because
true.
they participated does not mean that it's like that it got their blessing or that they like it. And I think about the kids. I mean, I did watch it, so I'm like a hypocrite, but like I think about
I didn't.
the little kids that,
Yeah.
were the ones that were, like, bore the brunt of the abuse,
The
and
little girl found in the
yeah.
closet and the little
Yes.
boy that so
Like
courageously escaped
yes,
and rang the
yes.
doorbell, like,
Yeah.
and sweet old man that
No
just
pride.
immediately recognized, not like no offense, but older people, I could see them being like, go on home, boy, like, get
Right.
on out of here. Your parents should deal with this. But he like recognized something was really wrong.
Well, no, totally. And like they what is the impact of this docuseries being out there forever, like on their lives when they get older? Like, you know, so
I shouldn't have said anything because I don't think I've seen it. So it could be like a
oh,
really great
I'm
portrait.
I think that
You
docuseries are they feel more and more exploitive to me.
exploit. See, I don't know if I care about that as much. I care about the facts. Yeah, yeah. That's so different
Something to
level.
care about. That's something to care about.
I care about like when am I do all the research on a case, like I watch all the body camera. I'm not doing like opinion research crafted by some documentarian. Like all the court filings and like watching that
Yes,
and
be a
getting real
documentary.
facts. Well, no, because I can't stay focused. I want to follow so many. But then I watch like Karen Reed or Murdahl. It's like then you go and you see what they created out of it. It's just like y'all are cheesy as fuck.
Yeah,
Like, you know what's true and what they're just twisting or leaving out or cinematic. It's like your eyes, you see the truth. And
yeah,
so that's why they're hard. And then you see that the power that they have to influence the public
yeah,
that is not being utilized by like the stuff I watch, you're not really watching because it's not as popular.
yeah.
And so then you form your opinion on what they think with this one documentary. But anyways, they're great. I just wish they would find the true facts and point their reader that way. And if they're not sure, then leave it ambiguous. I think they did that for Karen Reed, right? Did you feel ambiguous after?
I mean, I had an opinion, but I don't know that
What was it?
had that she shouldn't be found guilty.
Okay, that's
And
a
I
quick.
think
Did you mean all of those words? Like you don't know if she's guilty, but she shouldn't be found guilty.
I don't know about whether or not she's guilty, but I think that they have not proved it. At least in the first trial, I felt like they didn't prove it. But like that docuseries was definitely more from her perspective than the other perspective because they did have like other people come like that were
Yeah.
is, but like it literally followed her and her attorneys and like into the
It
stuff.
should have been like 100% for her then. Like it all of her appearances have been 100% a mistake. Because
Oh,
that's all they're using. They're using her video clips in court.
of
Because
saying what though? Like she didn't say she did it.
she was like she'll be explaining like, so, I thought, what could I have hit him? Could I have hit him? I didn't. And they'll cut that and then they'll start their little presentation. And it's like, I'm sure as a lawyer, you're just like, wow, thanks
Uh,
for all the extra work that I now.
well, I
have
wonder
against."
if he like what role he played in facilitating it because he played a big
Ouch.
part in the so if I'm curious about whether he's like shit, you know what I mean? Like
Oh,
if
yeah. They
if he's
allowed
like
it. They would have allowed it, but they also didn't think there was gonna be another trial at that point, you know?
I mean, I think that's pretty as an attorney, that's he made a big mistake because like he should have been taking that into consideration. I
Well,
really
which
did
one? She's got multiple attorneys.
I really did well, all of them. I really
Yeah.
did when I saw it, I was like, I think that this is kind of crazy that they're, like, letting
Letting her do it?
her
It
do that.
if they're justifying it because media or independent journalism to, Mr. Andrew Aiden Kearney, AKA Turtle Boy,
Turtle Boy.
is the one that brought this
Yeah.
to the public.
Right.
So I would think, in their perspective, they're like, God, I mean, well, they did it for us before. Like, why
Right.
would we turn on them now? I don't
But the issue, though, is not only are you not in control of, like, creatively what ends up coming out, but even something like that where they just are able to play a clip that's taken out of
Yeah.
context, look good. Like, The more that you're giving her, like, that's only gonna lead to bad things, not good things. Like, I think this
go
step
ahead.
by attorneys to allow that.
I think they banked in this particular case on the fact that it's so egregious and, like, if
They thought she was gonna be acquitted.
if anybody they were thinking, like, if anybody who wants to come look into this, we welcome anybody. We're the ones not hiding the
Right.
facts and the evidence. We want more eyes on this. We need more time for y'all to look, like, come dig into the details. And they know whoever does that will
Right.
undoubtedly say, "She's innocent."
Yeah.
And
And
I
I get
that's
hoping,
what
like,
I would do.
you're hoping that the new jury, like, maybe some of the I wonder if they asked them in the voir dire if they've seen the docuseries.
I wonder what like, how much of the case they could be aware of.
Yeah.
Because, again, I kind of worry, like, people haven't heard of well, no, you haven't heard of Lori Daybell, and
No.
but you're not in that state either. But and then you would be a great jurist. I would
I would
love to serve on a jury so bad.
Yeah, it honestly does sound kinda cool. Because I would be like, "Not guilty, 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 guilty."
I wanna be on Luigi's.
I wanna be on
You
Luigi's.
know, they're trying to put him down.
And do you notice that there's, like, no coverage o of him anymore on, like, any of the big media?
Yep.
Like, because they don't want to, like, everything they didn't realize how, like,
Want it to go away.
everything that you show of him, people love him, like, 1,000 times more. Like, that big perp walk they did with him, it was like, they made him look so fucking cool, like,
We're praising
I was
well,
like, "Dude."
there's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of takers out there. They're aggressive. They're like, these people who think this is justified are terrible. Well, so I'm terrible.
Exactly. How many people did that CEO he caused their deaths, you know what I mean? Like, way more than just one.
With no thought
Yeah, and in fact,
ever in the
big ass
world.
bonus, you know?
Oh
Like,
yeah, probably a pat on the back for it.
fuck
Oh,
it. I had somebody be like, how can you say that when he had a family?" I'm like,
that was his choice.
"Everybody has a family." You
Yeah.
know what like, a lot of
What about
people
the person that died?
Yeah,
Together.
exactly. What about all the families of all those people that didn't get health coverage? You know what I mean? When they
Yeah.
knew that they should have been giving it.
Yeah.
Like, so fuck that. I don't think so. Just because you spit out a kid doesn't mean somehow your life is like more
Yeah.
value.
Justifies.
Yeah, exactly. That's
No.
bullshit.
He had a family.
I'm like,
Well,
give it a break.
should have had more empathy then.
Mhm.
I mean, this is capitalists
Like,
at work, and it's all gonna come crumbling down. We're gonna have to talk sometime about I mean, the Great Lakes are where it's at. AI is telling me I'm gonna have to start thinking about this by like 2035.
in terms of like what's going to be habitable,
Climate change.
shit, 2035.
Yes.
That's 10 years, dude.
That my yeah. I was like depressed, like you're gonna say like 2040, but even 2040 isn't, you know?
Have you read Ministry for the Future?
No.
You got to read Ministry for the Future. It's so good, Adrienne. You've got to read it.
Okay, I'm writing it down.
Just text me your address. I'll send you my copy. Oh, Eric, shit. Eric has to finish it.
Okay, it's okay. I'll find it because I'll probably listen to it.
It's
But not
it's
is it nonfiction?
it's science. It's technically, I think, like science fiction, but it's not like out there science fiction. It's like fiction about science we know, kind of.
Okay.
And it's set, I think, in around that time frame.
Oh, like what could happen?
And it's about climate change. And it's fucking like terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's written by this scientist but anyway, it's beautifully written and horrendously terrifying. And okay, so the Great Lakes. I guess.
Yeah, this is a real thing, like that. And to be clear, it's not just AI that told me that. I was doing like planning of like based on all the science, but Johnny, our Johnny of Callan and Johnny told
Our
me
Calvin and John.
I think it's been 2 years now at James' Christmas party about this very thing about how it's, it is depressing because he's a teacher, he knows all
Oh,
this. And I was kind of like, how do you go throughout the day, like knowing
yeah.
the truth of all this? But there's one thing that stuck out for me. He was like, I think he did say 2035. And he said Great Lakes. And I probably shouldn't be telling all of our fans.
We got to keep this secret for ourselves.
Yeah. But it's going to be like, increasing the storm. So and
Right.
I got like the future aspect of like North Carolina or Charlotte, and it's like it's gonna be too freaking hot.
Yeah.
Is that not crazy?
It is crazy. I mean, we're fucked, dude.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it feels like that way, don't you think?
I think it's an appropriate mind shift time
Well, because
of
2030
what's important.
is only 10 years, right? In the next 3 years, we're gonna have this fucking buffoon. At least the next 3 years,
Just causing chaos at
Yeah.
the very least.
Yes, and definitely not helping the climate situation.
No,
Actively harming it.
actively making it worse.
And so that feels a little hopeless in terms of like, okay, we know it's coming and there's not anything we as individuals can do to stop it because
No.
we have the power required to do what it would have to take
Right.
to make any kind of a difference. And so it's like, it kind of puts you in this absurdist mindset, right? Of like something
That's where I'm at.
role that is
Happening.
yeah.
And we've like, if we could still hold it off, if we made interventions now,
Right.
but I know we're not capable of that. Like,
No. Well, exactly. Donald Trump and his
especially not right now.
administration is never going to do that. Like,
No.
take the most progressive administration we've ever had.
Right. And that's not,
big
we've
FDR,
already
big
gone
FDR.
down. All they're gonna do next time is have to dig out of all these holes he's making. Like there's not this has put us back so far. But also I'm delusioned because the people, I don't have faith in people believing things anymore. Like people are so defensive. You can have facts. It's the Karen Reed case or Trumpism. Like it doesn't matter if you lay out the facts.
Right. Yeah.
Whoever yells the loudest or
Right.
whatever crafts, I don't know. They've just gaslit like people with an education into
I also think at the end of the day, what really matters is if the people who are in power, what they think. Like, because whether or not I convince, my
true.
aunt about climate change, like she is not as an individual going to be able to do anything that is going to skip the scale in either direction. We've got like global moneyed interests who don't give a fuck because they're making money off of the destruction of the planet. And they're so powerful.
Gonna stop.
It has to be like there have to be changes in attitudes at in the levers of power to actually be able to make any difference. And people would say, "Oh, well, do you have people power in who they elect and whether?"
Right.
But that's not true when it comes to the people that you elect are getting paid by Chevron and whoever else, and are getting.
But it does. If they hadn't brainwashed the people, or if the people weren't brainwashed into electing those people that are doing that.
Well, but there's also like the leaders that are kind of like the invisible leaders, heads of
The
banks.
real dangerous ones.
Yes, exactly. That aren't
Yeah.
accountable to anyone.
They are smart
They have
enough to
more
know we don't
power.
want to get in the ring.
Right. Well, and they have more power in when it comes to, or more access to power, and more access to levers of change in terms of, and at least in my opinion, for the climate crisis. Um, but they're like we would never know their names. You know what I mean? Like that kind of a
Yeah.
shit. And not like some weird Illuminati shit, but like actually, like there are individuals that are extremely powerful individuals that impact the global economy. And if as long as they
If
don't
we got their list of
about
names and
as long
gave it to,
as give a shit about the environment, then we're fucked.
yeah, it's just we don't have the willpower, I think was my like the conversation with AI of like what it would take and the willpower of these humans in this day and age. It's just not gonna happen. We can't all collectively do anything anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know if we ever collectively did anything to begin with.
Hot topic question though, do you believe 9/11 was an insider job? Once and for all. Once and for all. Final judgment.
I mean, I don't think it was an inside job, but I would be open to evidence to the contrary.
Gun,
Because
gun.
my truth is, oh no, I don't want to say this on our podcast. Never mind.
True, 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 true.
I don't want to say this. All right, this is for after we stop recording. I'll tell you what I think.
Good. Love that. Love that. I'm not going to say my opinion. Honestly, it's something I've battled with for over a decade of like. Anyways, okay. We should stop there.
I think it's a great place to stop.
I don't want to get mad now.
I think this is the perfect place to stop.